A lot of people ask me, hey, what do you use for your podcast? And when I tell them, I pretty much say I use Anchor. So, Anchor is like the best thing that has happened to my podcast. Pretty much, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. So, pretty much it's free. There are creation tools that Anchor has that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer on the go. So say you record an episode and you're like, oh snap, I forgot to edit out that part. You can just go right to your phone or your computer, bam, 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 boom, you're done. Don't have to worry about anything. Don't have to hire a expensive producer or editor or anything like that. You can do it all right from your phone. The cool thing too is Anchor also will distribute your podcast for you. So pretty much they say, hey, give me your podcast and I'll do everything else for you. So they'll put it on Spotify, they'll put it on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever podcasts are heard. So pretty much it like I said, it takes the weight off of you and distributes it yourself for you. The cool thing too is you can also make money from Anchor as well. Anchor will be your first sponsor, and they will also provide sponsors later on in the future once you start getting a build up and fan base and all that. They will pay you to do ads like this to put in your episodes so people can hear it, so people can get to know more about Anchor, which you are listening to now. So pretty much, like I said, you can make money from Anchor with no minimal listenership. So you don't have to, got to get a certain amount of people to listen so you can start getting paid. No, you get paid right from the first listen of your podcast. So pretty much it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And the cool thing too is that Anchor has an app as well. And you can download it, and it makes it way easier than using it from your computer. So like I said, you can use it on the go. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. I promise you, it's the best thing you'll do for your podcast. Alright, what's up guys? This is Inside the North Side coming to you live. So what's up everybody? This is your host with the most from the Third Coast. Hope you all having a good weekend. So this episode is going to be a part 2 to the Selena series review I did a couple of months ago. To be exact, in December. So the Selena series came out, part 2 came out May 4th, I believe, which is pretty weird. I would never think that something on Netflix would come out on a Tuesday. You would usually think it was like on a Friday, but they wanted to do 180 on people and I guess bring the series out faster. And it came out May 4th. I thought it would have been pretty cool if they would have came out if the series would have came out April 16th on her 50th birthday, but they're probably like, no, it doesn't even, but whatever. Anyways, so yeah, like I said, this is a part 2 to the Selena series. So I'm just gonna go little by little explaining the second episode and the second season. Each episode little by little, and stuff like that, and then just give my opinion of the whole series in general and stuff like that. So so pretty much the first episode of the second season starts off pretty much where we left off in the first season. They left Chris on the side of the road, and Selena's all in her feelings, and she misses Chris and stuff like that, and they're trying to replace him and this and that. So she's just having a hard time because she misses him and she loves him and stuff like that, blah 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 blah. And there's some other stuff going on behind the series, but mainly this episode is the one where they get married, like all undercover and shit like that, and then they get leaks out, and then everybody knows and stuff like that, and everybody's upset because they're like, oh, why didn't you tell us? We could have still been there for you, blah 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 blah, which I find not to be true, because I feel like her parents would have been really upset, especially more her dad, because her dad was just like, where the fuck where are you going? What are you doing? And they didn't like him at all, which I always find kind of weird, how they didn't like him and they still don't like him and accept him part of the family. Because they can say that, but as people and as fans, like we still notice that. And and then at the end of the series, they're like, oh, we accepted your family and this and that, which I find kind of hard to believe it happened in real life, but this is a show, so it's whatever. So then the second episode pretty much goes, and they're doing like a Mexico tour pretty much and stuff like that. So, pretty much her and Chris are married, and, they're trying to keep it on the DL, not let anybody know, because apparently, if her fans knew, they would be upset with her and riot and shit like that, which is, it's really weird how, us as fans, and not just as Selena fans, but like fans in general, will get upset about any little shit. But I mean, with her, how they explain it, like, she would lose fans because, the men loved her and the women wanted to be her, and every guy fantasized of, oh, that's my girlfriend right there, and everything like that, was just pretty funny. But so they're pretty much explaining, like, you can't tell nobody because you would lose fans, and fans would get upset, and fans wouldn't come and see you, so fans wouldn't spend any money, and blah 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 blah. So pretty much she gives the finger to everybody and says, fuck it, I'm just gonna tell everybody. But before that, she's doing like this TV show. She has like the band with her and everything, and they're trying to somebody knows, but they're like trying to like pressure her to say, hey, look, who is this so and so? Does he have a blah 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 blah? The whole bullshit, high school bullshit. And she doesn't say shit, but later on in the episode, she pretty much says it on like a show, which I was looking at the facts, and it's kind of true, but not true. She didn't do it on tour, but she did do it at like an award ceremony, I think. And she says, like, hey, this is my husband. People did boo her, which I find pretty funny. And she was like, what the fuck, seriously? I wouldn't boo you, so why the fuck are you booing me? So, not her words, my words. I know she probably wouldn't say shit like that, but so yeah, that's the second episode. Yeah, and the third episode, they're trying to do, I think they're getting ready for like her album, her English album and stuff like that. So they're trying to come up with songs and stuff like that. And I forgot what song AB was trying to do in this episode, to where he has to like come up with new music and stuff like that for the album. And it stresses on him, because like during the whole series you see like the whole thing that AB is going through, with like the pressure of like, I have to write this music. It has to be perfect. It has to do this. It has to do that. This and do that. Because of his dad, and his dad was pressuring him to be better and do better and stuff like that. And it's not even like, like how fathers always pressure their sons to do better, but it's not like, hey son, you can do it. This is like, so what are you gonna do now? Oh, we have a record coming out. Yeah, no shit. You got songs? And he's kind of like, dude, we just got off tour. I just finished a record. Yeah, I know, but do you have songs? Dad, do you have songs? And he's like, I think I have some stuff from the last one. No, do you have song? You know, pretty much like, dude, seriously? Come on. We just finished this record like 20 minutes ago. We need to do the next one pronto, you know? So you see him just like stressing out and just like, you know, going through shit and just like, yeah, I have to do this. I have to do this. And they're like, no, just chill out, dude. You know, you don't have to be perfect. You just do it the best you can, you know, because he pretty much produced a lot of stuff, and, you know, and Pete and Ricky, you know, they wrote a lot of the stuff to Selena as well. But AB was pretty much her producer, so he was like staying late at night, and it affected his personal life, you know, with his marriage and with his kids, because, you know, he's always in the studio, and it shows that and stuff like that too. So, you know, and then later on in the series, you know, they're still showing her and what's her name, Yolanda. You know, she's running the fan club and stuff like that. And then later on, it's starting to show Selena when she wants to do her boutique and stuff like that. So then, you know, they're still the next episode, they're still talking about, you know, wanting to do the English album, but she would have to go solo. And she doesn't really want to go solo because she feels like if she goes solo, her family's not going to be there for her, because she was so used to having her brother and her sister and her friends on stage with her, and now she realizes, oh shit, it's going to be me. So pretty much during some of the episodes, you see her like in this dark room, and you see everybody playing, and then it like fades out and it's just her, and you can see like the not the horror, but like the like how scared she is in her eyes, like, oh shit, it's just gonna be me up here. I don't have anybody to feed off of, because she kind of fed off of everyone else's energy as well. I mean, she was so much energy, her own energy, but, you know, having to have her brother right next to her and her sister in the back and her friends, you know, playing alongside of her and just having a good time, she fed off that energy and was just like fucking Super Saiyan. But now she realizes it's like kind of like not claustrophobia, but she's like feeling the pressure of like, oh fuck, it's just gonna be me up here. It's just gonna be me up here. I don't have anybody else up here. It's just gonna be me. And you see her like struggling with that thought of, oh fuck, it's gonna be me. It's just me. You know, like I'm saying. So then, you know, then her sister gets married to her boyfriend Bill, you know, which pretty much goes through the actual events and stuff like that. You know, and shout out to shout out to the little kid that plays Sivani. He was in the shot, so I was like, hey, it's so and so, you know, Silvani, he's in the series. I thought it was pretty funny. You know, side note that we talked about that on the episode. I'm like, dude, you're represented in the show, and he's like, I know, man. You know, it's pretty surreal. He said himself, you know, it's like to see me on a show. You know, it's not actually me, but it's a child who's playing a younger version of me. You know, because of course he grew up during that time. You know, with his aunt. You know, starting that fame and stuff like that, her early to mid 20s. So, yeah, so pretty much, you know, she has her boutique and stuff like that, and Yolanda's like, I'll help, you know, she's like, dude, you have so much other shit you have to deal with. She's like, no, I'll help, you know, it's fine. So she's like, all right, fuck it, you know. And even before that, you know, her dad is kind of like, no, you can't do this boutique. And she's like, well, why not? It's fucking my money. You know, this is what I want to do. And he's like, dude, you don't even understand. You don't even know how to run a business. And she was like, I don't give a fuck. I want to open a boutique because that's always been her dream, you know, and, you know, with Selena, her fashion and just beauty and makeup and stuff like that, you know, that was her big thing. So pretty much, you know, during that time, they're just like, no, you can't do it. It's a lot of work. And even Chris is kind of like, I don't know, man, it's a lot of work. And she was like, you're not even taking my side. And he's like, I'm just like saying it's a lot of work. So she gets upset and stuff like that because she feels like nobody's taking her side. And then overall, they're just like, hey, man, just do what you want to do. You know, we're here to support you and stuff like that. She was just like, okay, cool. And then she does this boutique and stuff like that. And, you know, and then the next episode, you know, some of the songs like that, they're showing some of her other songs that came out during that time. I think this was like 92, 93. So, you know, she has her business and stuff like that. And then she's like on the road doing shows, doing interviews and stuff like that, getting ready for her solo career and stuff like that. And she's getting calls from her business like, hey, yo, you didn't pay this bill, you didn't pay this bill, you need to pay these people and stuff like that. And she's like, what the fuck? What the hell? So she tells Yolanda, hey, what's going on? She's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to send the check, you know, I forgot to send the check, blah 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 blah. And you know, she believes her, like, oh, okay, whatever, it's fine. You know, so she said that she was gonna send it, so, you know, which is weird because, you know, I was watching some of like, not behind the scenes stuff, but like other stuff where it's like Selena believed everybody and she, you know, saw the best in everybody, and she was just like, she never had a thought in like, they could backstab me, which I feel like she never felt that in her life where somebody backstabs her. I mean, not backstabbed her, you know, she never felt like, oh my god, I trusted you and now you screwed me over. I feel like, you know, in the series it doesn't show like she ever dealt with that. So I'm pretty sure she had dealt with that before, but she was just always, I guess, forgiving and just like, hey, whatever, it's fine, you know. So pretty much she's juggling all this stuff and she's doing all this stuff herself because she doesn't have like an assistant like that. So she's stressing out even more, and she's just like, what the fuck, you know, I got to get all this shit together, you know. And then her family feels like, oh, you don't come and see us no more, you don't come and do this and that. And you know, because earlier in the series, you know, they got married and this and that, so like, where are you going to live? And she's like, I don't know, you know. So Abraham was like, here, you can have the third house, because like in the last season he bought all 3 houses on his block. So pretty much the one that was on the left and one that was on the right, which everybody knows in the movie, you know, AB lived on the first house, and then they're in the middle, and then she lived at the corner house. So he was like, hey, here, you know, this is your house now, whatever, blah 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 blah. And you know, they're like, you know, as Latinos, you understand when you go and do something on your own and you don't have your family with you, your family always thinks, they think they're big shit now. You know, hey, they don't come and visit us no more and stuff like that. You know, and you know, when you do have planned something with your parents or something like that, she's like, hey, I got to do this. I'm sorry, I kept to cancel, blah blah blah. And they're just like, oh, sad. Oh, it's okay, you know. And then they're like, you know, we probably won't ever get to see her. And I'm like, bitch, she lives right next door, you know. And I'm like, what do you expect? I feel like in the series they don't understand. Like, she's fucking huge, man. She's like a pop star. You know, she's got all this shit going on, and I can't tell if they understand, like, yo, she's doing this on her own. You know, it's not like her dad is like still managing her career, which she kind of was still, but it was not like there's 2 assistants that do this and there's this person that deals with this and this and that. It was like, it shows that she's doing it on her own. And I can imagine the fucking stress that she had to go through, you know, dealing with that crap. So then, you know, later in the series, she wins some Grammy nominations and stuff like that, and wins an award and stuff like that. And there's one part where she goes up and she gets the award and she thanks everybody, and she forgets to thank Chris, and Chris is all in his feelings like, you don't even care about me, you didn't even like tell me, you didn't even go up there and say, oh, I want to thank my husband and shit like that. And he's on his feelings. I'm like, bro, come on, man, you know better. And I feel like he really wasn't like that in real life. I feel like they made him sorry if anybody's listening, they made him feel like a pussy, you know, where he's like, you know, where are you going, Selena? Well, I've got to go do this and this and that. You don't even care about me. You don't even talk, you know, you don't talk to me. You don't let me do what I wanted. And she was like, what the fuck, dude? I'm just asking if you want to go with me. I just want to do my own thing. And she was like, you can. He was like, no, without you. And I'm like, it made him feel like a pussy in this series. And I know for sure Chris Perez is not a fucking pussy. You know, in the movie, with J-Lo, he's kind of like a bad boy. So he's like, I'm going to still do what I want to do. You know, I'm married to her and I'm still loyal, but I'm still going to go do what I want to do, because he's like, I want to start my own band, you know, because, you know, Chris does other kinds of music and stuff like that. So he's like, I want my own band. I want my own, you know, my own personality, because everybody knows him as Selena's husband and not just, hey, this is Chris Perez and stuff like that. So he goes through that, you know, identity crisis, I guess, in the series. And, you know, in this episode, they show one of the most passionate songs that Selena ever did. And I didn't know that her keyboard player Ricky was the one that wrote it. I always thought it was like AB or another writer that wrote for her, but he wrote it. And it shows this the scene where he's sitting in the booth with AB, and he's just sitting there just like stone cold, no emotion. And they're like, yeah, he wrote another song, one of his most emotional ones. Let's go through it. Like, okay, here's the fucking song. You already know what the melody is and blah, 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 blah. So she's singing it, Selena, and he's just sitting there just like stone cold and just like watching it like, my God, she's singing this fucking song that I just wrote about somebody. So then they're like, who's this song about? And then you see Suzette come in and put like her hand on her shoulder, and she's like, oh my God, Ricky, that was really good. You know, this is like one of the best songs you've ever written. And you see like a tear come down, because, you know, he knows that she's fucking married and that she would never be with him. Because in the series, it shows like he likes her, but he never like goes and does anything about it. Which I don't know if he actually like went forward and did anything. Like, hey, I like you, you know, I have feelings for you, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like, you know, in real life, maybe he did. Maybe she like turned him down or whatever, or she never knew. I don't know. They have yet to ask. She has yet to. Suzette in real life has yet to reply back to that. So, but yeah, he's just sitting there, and then, you know, she's like, "Oh, that's a good song." You know, unbeknownst that the song is written about her, and, you know, his feelings for her and stuff like that. Like, hey, you know, I loved you, but it's been a good ride, and I know that you won't love me anymore. Blah 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 blah. And it's a really emotional, because it's like it's a guy who poured all his feelings into a one song, and he's pretty much telling the person his feelings and his love for her, but she would never know it was her. So, you know, and then you just see him like cry. And the actor who played Ricky, Hunter Reese, I forgot his last name, but his name is Hunter. And he was like getting all this attention because of that series, and people felt bad for him. And he was like, hey, look, I appreciate everybody, you know, for that, because, you know, nobody had knew that was one of the scenes that he had to go through. And they were just giving him all his love and support, and like, oh, like he actually wrote the song and was going through those emotions. And he was like, no, I appreciate you guys, you know, for the support, you know, the scene and stuff like that. It was really emotional, because, you know, you see him portraying somebody else and what they had to go through, and the love that they never got to share and tell somebody, you know, I love you this much. So and then the episode cuts to where like she's getting, you know, ready. She's trying to find all these not producers, but like the record company that wants to produce her solo album in English, her English album. They're like, hey, we have all these writers and we have all these producers and stuff like that. We need you to listen to these demos so we can get like an idea of what you want and what the songs, if you like the songs. And she keeps putting it off like, yeah, I listen to them. Yeah, I'll let you know. Yeah. So then she finally finds a couple songs and she does them like that and this and that. And they're like, this doesn't sound like Selena, you know. And then one of the record executive was like, your voice needs work, which I'm like, damn, bitch, the fuck, her voice needs work. And they're just like, she's like taken back, like, what? And they're like, Selena's really good, and she's like, oh no, maybe I can work on it. And I'm like, what the fuck? I would have told motherfucker, this is me singing. You know who the fuck I am? But I know she wasn't like that. So she does singing lessons, and her voice gets stronger and gets better and stuff like that, which you can see. Like in the series, it shows her, and you can kind of tell in real life, like her singing last night was more, it was just her. And then like when she did the whole, voice lessons and getting her voice stronger, you can tell the strength in her voice and stuff like that. So, and then one of the scenes, they show her meeting this producer in Nashville, and he has this song, and he starts playing it, and everybody in their fucking grandma knows from those chords that are put together what song it was. So it was Dreaming of You, or no, I Could Fall in Love. I'm sorry, I Could Fall in Love. And he's playing and this and that, and they're just like, oh, that's so good. So he gives her the lyrics, like, here you go, you know this song. And it's and she just sings it, and I'm like, okay. And she sings it, and I'm like, oh man, it's a really good song, and this is one of those songs that tear you up, because if you watch the movie, you can tell it's one of those scenes where it's like, oh fuck, this is like the end, But it was a really good song, and the scene is really nice where she just has like that moment with the song, and she's like, I love this song, I want this on my album. And her brother's there, of course, with her, and he was like, okay, yeah, if you want the song, you want the song. So then the next episode is pretty much the big one where, she does the Astrodome. They ask her like, hey, we want you to perform at the Astrodome. And she's like, what? The Astrodome? And it says that she's performed there before, but I'm like, has she really? I don't know. I have to go back and check. This is some of the research I didn't check, but she's like, yeah, we played the Astrodome before. And she was like, no, they're like, no, we want you to play, and it's going to be a live album. If any of you have ever been to the Houston Livestock Rodeo, you know that we have performances there, and we have big artists and, all around the world that come here to, Houston for the livestock. So she did, the Livestock Rodeo, and she had sold out the Astrodome, and it was like the biggest performance, I think, for the rodeo, where she sold out the most tickets. And it was just like, it's a big achievement for the rodeo, and it was also for her. I think it was like 60,000 people or some shit like that. And shout out to director Charlie G, because he told me that he was actually at that performance. So I was like, that's pretty fucking cool to be at that performance, back in 95. And it shows the whole setup, her doing the show, and they play her songs and stuff like that. And the show comes pretty close to her performance and stuff like that. But if you watch the actual performance, it's just like, it's amazing. Even, was it like 26 years later, it's like, oh my gosh, you can feel the energy, you can feel the emotion and everything from her and from the band, and just at that moment. But they did a pretty good recreation of her coming out in the carriage and stuff like that at the Astrodome, and you see like clips of the actual fans in the show, at the show and stuff like that. So she plays, and this is a really good job, and then it pans out. But during that whole episode and like that, Suzette like breaks her ankle or some shit like that, or sprains it, so she can't play. So she's like, oh, Sel, I can't play. So they find another drummer, and the drummer does really good and stuff like that. So pretty much she's like, hey, look, I'm done. I'll still be with you, on tour and doing this and that, but I'm checking out. This guy's really good. I think he brings more. I think he brings something more to the table than I can. He's a better drummer. And she's like, no, but you're my sister. And she's like, dude, I'm done, bro. I'm not that good. I'm married, and stuff like that. And it's like, it's time for me to like bow out gracefully. And, so, she does this, the show with somebody else, and it's a great show and stuff like that. So the episodes are really good. For people that were at the show and people that watched the movie, it kind of comes close a little bit, but nothing beats the real thing, of course. So the next episode is pretty much the last episode. And I feel at this point, this episode is being rushed. So pretty much I feel like the first season was like, okay, we're taking our time, and then we stop at this particular point. And then beginning of the second season, it's like, okay, we're taking our time, okay, it's going a little bit faster, and then here's episode 9, and it's like fucking speedy 80 miles per hour, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck, chill out. So pretty much, in this episode, you can kind of tell what's going to happen. Throughout the series, you see Yolanda getting upset, and you see them questioning her, like, what the fuck do you do? Why are these, earlier in the series, it's pretty much, they're asking her, like, hey, why haven't the fans gotten their stuff? Because Selena had like a fan club, and they got stuff and, memorabilia and all that, whatever. And people were like, yo, where's my shit at? And they were writing Selena and sending her messages like, oh, you're a fake. You just want the fucking money. You haven't sent me anything, and this and that. And her dad's like, what the fuck? What the hell's going on? Like, why haven't the fans gotten their stuff? So he questions her, and she was like, I don't know. I saw that. And then she's like so fucking jealous of like Selena's friend, who was like her partner in like designing her dresses and stuff like that. And she's like so mad, but I think it's because he was like gay and she didn't like him. So, they have like that connection. So she blames everything on him. Like, oh, well, I told so-and-so. Then they're like, why are you telling so-and-so to tell you? Why are you telling so-and-so to give you the checks and to send checks, whatever? And she's like put in a circle. Not put in a circle. She's put in the corner. I'm sorry. And it's to the point where Selena goes to one of these schools, and this kid asks her, like, hey, I don't have any of the stuff that you were supposed to send for the fan club. And she's like shocked. And she's like, what the fuck? So she was like, okay, well, hey, give me your information, child, and I'll send it right to you. So then, I think the kid's mother calls and starts telling him, Abraham, hey, this is what's going on. This is my son's name, blah, 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 blah. So he was like, oh, shit. He's starting to find out too. And he's starting to piece things little by little. And, he gives the kid free tickets to the rodeo concert, whatever. And, so they're starting to get skeptical of Yolanda, and, Yolanda's getting mad. And you see like the actual, like, what's the word called? Not insanity, but you see like her damn it, I know the fucking word. The obsession with Selena and stuff like that, like the pictures and just wanting to be her best friend and always wanted to be there and stuff like that. Like the obsession, you can see it. Like the actress that played Yolanda did a really good job. The actress who did Yolanda in the movie did a really great job too, but this one was a little more like, oh, this bitch can fuck people up. Like the quiet kid in class, and you're like, he don't ever say shit, but when shit goes down, that motherfucker has something, So pretty much Abraham's like, fuck it, I gotta go and check this shit out. So he goes and breaks into her office, and he's like, where are these records that we need? And he finds out like she's been stealing money from Selena and the fan club and stuff like that. So they're like furious and shit. And, they find out and they investigate her, and she's like, I don't know. Who's this person? I don't know. So she's writing out checks, different names to, people and giving them money. It pretty much is given to her. And, they find out and they're like, hey, look, we're gonna fire you, and yeah, you can never come on this property ever again, and if you do, yo ass is going to jail. So pretty much she was like, all right, well, I'm gonna show them. So you see, like, I think it's in the Astrodome episode, she buys a gun, and you know, and it's so stupid where the guy's like, he's like, here's the gun, and he's like, you're gonna need bullets, and she's like, bullets? And I'm like, come on, bitch, don't be that stupid. You know a gun needs bullets. You're not just gonna shoot it and it's gonna, you know. But you know, like I said, the actress who played Yolanda did a really good job, and I really hope they don't like fuck with her like they did the last person. And like throw rocks and say hateful names. And I'm like, dude, she's just playing a character. I know everybody fucking hates Yolanda, but it's like she's portraying somebody, so don't give that person shit. You know, just chill out. But anyways, you know, like the last episode, they're like, she comes back and she's like trying to like talk to Abraham, and she's like, just talk. And he was like, no, what the fuck? What are you doing here? You can't come on this property. And she was like, you'll find out who I am. And I'm like, oh my God, here we go. It's pretty much, you know, this last episode, they're like, we need to get out of here, you know, because fans are always coming to their house, Selena's house, and, you know, one of them like walked in and they were like, who the fuck are you? And they're like, oh, we're fans. And, you know, she's just like, okay, yeah, let's take pictures. And she's like, we got to get the fuck out of here. Motherfuckers keep coming to my house. They don't leave me alone. Please, we need to get the fuck out of here. So pretty much, she goes to this place with Chris, and she was like, this is where I want to build a house and a ranch and whatnot and stuff like that. And he was like, is this what you want? And she's like, yeah, we can do this right after the tour, and then we can get pregnant and have a baby and stuff like that, or kids, whatever you want to say. And he was like, okay, sure, yeah, that's the plan. All right, cool, whatever you want, dude. So then, you know, they tell Selena what happened with Yolanda. And, you know, she's there and she's just like, I can't trust this bitch no more. You can actually see like her feeling the effects of somebody backstabbing her. So then she has like these records that she needs because she's checking like all this stuff that she needs for like tax purposes and whatnot. So then, you know, Yolanda keeps calling her. I don't know how many fucking times that bitch called her, but she was just calling and calling and calling and calling. So where the point where Selena's like, oh my God, what the fuck do you want? She was like, I can explain. And she was like, you know what? Nah. She was like, I know you had that shit that I need. You have these tax forms and you have these stuff that I need for my product, whatever. You know, I need this shit. She's like, oh, we can meet up. But it's not even like, hey, let's meet up at like a coffee shop and let me give it this shit. You know, let's just bygones be bygones. No, this bitch fakes like somebody like fucking came up and attacked her. So she was like, oh my God, I had to take Yolanda to the hospital. I'm like, bitch, that's not what you do. Her ass could have took herself to the fucking hospital, emergency room, whatever. So then, with all the other backstabbing, you know, the doctor was like, yeah, nothing's wrong with her. She was like, but she said that she got jumped. She's like, nah, bro, nothing happened. So she's lying to you. And she's just like, already, yeah, up here with it. She's like, fuck, man, just give me my shit. And then, you know, during this episode as well, she keeps talking about the song. She's like, I like the song. AB's like, I don't really like the song. It's so corny. And, you know, and then you kind of find out she was talking about Dreaming of You, which I can't fucking listen to, because once I hear that song, and once everybody hears that fucking song, they start crying. You know, I grew up with the movie, and you already know the whole scene. Yeah, I'm not even gonna think about it, because then I start like tearing up and crying. And you know, even when you listen to the song, you just think of her, and it's like, fuck, man, her life just got cut super fucking short at 24, man. So pretty much the episode goes where, you know, she's like, Yolanda, I need my shit. And she's like, okay, well, I have it in my hotel room. So she goes to the hotel room, and I'm right here. I'm just like crying, bro. And I'm like, oh my God, this is what's gonna fucking happen. It's gonna happen. They don't show her like shooting her, which, it's a family series, so they're not gonna shoot her just like, but you can see, like, you can hear it because it kind of portrays like it did in real life. Like, you can hear the shot and people heard the noise, and it didn't show her like running to the, like, of course they're not going to show that, it's a family series, but they're not going to show her running to like the front desk like she did in real life, and she was losing blood and stuff like that. Because I can imagine, I don't think anybody would watch that, because they would just probably like fucking cry their eyes out and you would have to actually see how she fucking died. I don't think fans wanted to see that, and I don't think the family wanted to put that out there, because they were like, fuck, we have to relive this shit again for the fourth time. Fourth time, if you want to count the one that Amanda Solis did. But yeah, so they find out Selena got shot, and they're rushing to the hospital, and they're like, we need to see her, and they're trying to like hold them back. And for people that don't know, Selena's parents, her family was Jehovah's Witness, so they, I guess, didn't believe in like blood transfusion. So a lot of people said that she could have, they could have saved her life, but I feel like they wouldn't have, because she lost a lot of blood at the hotel, and it doesn't show that part in the series where they're like, hey, we need to know. So they did it without their consent, because they didn't know she was Jehovah's Witness, but it didn't work, and ultimately she pretty much died in like a vegetable state, which is really sad to hear, and it really sucks when you think about it. To know she was pretty much like just there, brain dead, just but yeah, it sucks to know like that part, that she was just there. She couldn't do anything. She was just this person who was so full of life, was pretty much gray and dull, and couldn't bring happiness and joy to people anymore. So then it goes to the series where everyone's feeling the effects of her death. They don't do the whole like funeral and like this and that. They just show everybody crying and saying that they miss her, and then they show AB sitting in the booth and playing the song, and he's just crying, and crying, because he's just like, fuck, this is the last song my sister ever recorded. And I thought it was fucking corny, but now it means something, that she's gone, and shows everybody else and stuff like that. So, and then that's where the series ends, but not series. I mean, it doesn't end like that. It ends on a good note where they're playing the Chicago show. Pretty much, if you watch the first episode, you see them in Chicago, and they're like, hey, it's going to be fine, isn't that? So pretty much that show that she's doing is the last part, I guess, last scene in this episode. And they're showing her just, doing her thing, and everybody's having fun. And then at the end, they show her doing the iconic turnaround pose that everybody that sees that picture. And then that's where it ends. But yeah, I mean, overall, I thought the series was good. Like I said, I feel like they rushed it closer to getting to the end, where it's like, I feel like they could have extended, maybe done like 12 episodes, to where they could have talked a little bit more about some other stuff, and and show how everybody else was going through things and all that. But ultimately they didn't, and then at this end of this episode 2, they show AB, reflecting on his sister with the Cumbia Kings, and everybody else too reflecting, later on in the future and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. They kind of mentioned the Cumbia Kings, because there would be no Cumbia Kings without Selena, pretty much, even though she didn't front end. But I mean, with AB's musical talent and his experience dealing with his sister, kind of like set him up for his own thing. And then it shows Chris and stuff like that dealing with it. I feel like the person that really did get hit the most was, of course, Chris, because he loved her so much. But of course, they're not gonna like pay attention to that because, you know, the family's situation with Chris. Anyways, my conclusion is I thought the series was good. Like I said, I feel like they rushed it a little bit more. They could have expanded the episodes and kind of show more about Selena, what she was going through. But they were just like, hey, fuck it, let's just do this to get this over with. But like I said, ultimately it was good. I mean, you can compare it to the movie, of course, and the movie does have the series beat just a little bit because there was a little bit more not emotional, but there's a little more one-on-one connection with her and Chris and dealing with other stuff, and you know, but yeah, overall the series is good. I think you should watch it. You know, I feel like you should not compare it to the movie because this is its own thing, and you know, it's two separate decades, man, really, to be honest. The movie came out literally like 2 years after she died, which I always found kind of suspicious because I was like, fuck, man, that's kind of fast. If you ask me, I would have thought they would have waited like a couple years, but they're like, nope, let's bank on this. She just died. We have all this information. It's not like we have to wait like 10 years and then shit gets murky and information gets, and so it's like, nope, we know everything. Let's get this shit going. You know, and people were even talking about they should do like a part 3 where they're doing the movie, and I'm like, just don't, man. You know, let the girl rest in peace. You know, leave it at that. You told the story about Selena, and you know, yeah, just cut it out. But yeah, I mean, I know people were already like arguing about the series and comparing it to this and this and that, and I'm like, just take it for what it is. I know that the show is not going to be maybe 100% accurate, and I know they might have thrown in some stuff, you know, because for people that don't know, Chris Perez actually wanted to tell his side of the story because he actually wrote a book about him and Selena, but the family was like, nah, bro, you can't do that because apparently Abraham owns everything of Selena, her name, her image, everything. So they wanted to do like legal battle and stuff like that, so Chris was like, nah, bro, just chill, you know. But he also wanted to do his own series about it because, you know, he wanted to tell from his point of view, but the family knows that like there's some certain things that fans don't know that went on, and they kind of want to protect Selena's image. So that would have been really nice to see, though. I mean, like his part, you know, his story, but ultimately we'll never see it. But like I said, I mean, take it for what it is. It's pretty good. You know, you're gonna enjoy the stuff. You're gonna enjoy the songs. You know, and stuff like that, and it like I said, it keeps you wanting more, but it's like you have so much other stuff that's going on, you know, with her, you know, the music and books and interviews and stuff like that, where you don't have to like watch a series. You can just you know, look it up yourself. There's so much information out there in the past 26 years. There's stuff you can still find out about Selena that, you know, they didn't talk about it in the series and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I give it a good 8 out of 10. You know, and stuff like that. You know, my thing is like I wish they could have expanded more on her life just a little bit more, and show actually how the other band members were affected. Because like they don't show all the other band members like, oh, you know, how they feel about Selena's death, because that's the person they toured with for like a good amount of years. And you know, it's kind of like, we're just gonna put them to the side, you know, whatever happened to them. Because even Pete was like going through his solo stuff, but you know, it affected Pete really bad, you know, because that was the person he sang with every night. That's the person he spent so much time with on tour, writing songs, having great memories. And I feel like the series could have shown Pete just a little bit more, and how her death affected him, and how he wrote the song, you know, fuck, I forgot the name of the song. But talking about Selena and just how he misses her, and that when he thinks about her, when he hears her music, he cries, and it's a really good song. Como te extraño, I think that's what it's called. I'm sorry, my Spanish is bad, and I'm trying to remember it, but I'm like, I don't have everything prepared. But, I wish they would have showed the band members how her death affected them, and a little bit more stuff like that. I wish they could have expanded on some other stuff, but like I said, ultimately you take it as it is. It's a good series, 8 out of 10, and stuff like that. I would highly recommend people to watch it. But if you want to know more, of course, read the books. You can watch the movie if you want to. Look at interviews and stuff like that if you want to know more about Selena. But yeah, man, it's, aside from all that, it's really weird how she's pretty much stuck in the 90s, man. Like Selena never got to grow up. In the 90s, she never got to see 1999. She never got to see the new millennium, 2000. Her life was cut short at 95. And it's kind of sad to know that, but also to know like she never got to experience so many other things that happened during the 90s, and how big she could have been, and how like her music could have just escalated and just been super great, and what she could have done, who she could have worked with, because who knows who she could have worked with. She could have collaborated with so many other fucking pop stars and stuff like that. And speaking of pop stars, there's a scene in the series which I really don't think they should have put in it, but they're gonna put in it because they want to. There's a scene where she meets Beyonce, but it's not even like, oh, hey, my name is Beyonce. Oh, my name is Selena. No, it's like Beyonce and her sister and her mom like walking in San Antonio, and like she sees Selena, and her mom's like, who's Selena? Like, bitch, you know who the fuck Selena is. You live in Texas. Do not. I feel like they made her mom like stupid. Like, you know who the fuck Selena is. Come on, man. And like Selena walks by, she's smiling, and I think she like waves at her or something like that, and the young Beyonce is like starstruck, and she's like, Beyonce knows if you gonna be a superstar, you blah 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 blah. And I'm like, I feel like it's like totally unnecessary to put that, but they're gonna try to like, hey, look, Beyonce's in the show, and I'm like, I personally feel like that should have never like put in. Those couple seconds could have been removed and put something else in, but it's Beyonce, and everybody knows how I feel about Beyonce. But like I said, ultimately, it's a good series. Like I said, I would rewatch it again, because it's good. And you can, like I said, if you want to find out more about Selena, there's so many other things. There's almost 30 years, that's almost 35 years worth of stuff out there, almost 40, and stuff like that. So if you want to know more about Selena, then you can know more about Selena on the internet and stuff like that. Read Chris's book. I think Abraham has a book out there if you can read too. But I kind of want to check out Chris's book, just to see the other point of view from him and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, like I said, again, for like the third time, it's a pretty good series. Take it for what it is. If you want to know more, research. I also feel like they could have expanded on more stuff. They could have talked about more stuff, shown a different perspective from someone else. Some of the band members and stuff like that. But ultimately, it was just about Selena. And now, like I said, I feel like they rushed it more into like, hey, fuck, let's get this over with. Because even like the episode of like her death was like rushed, and I'm like, whoa, dude. I mean, it's like 2-3 minutes, and I'm like, you could have expanded on this maybe a good couple more minutes, maybe like 5 or 6 more minutes, where it's like, okay, this is what's going on. The movie kind of does it for a couple seconds, but you can like feel the pain and the grief and just everything in that series. I feel like the death scene in the movie is better than the one in the series. A whole lot better. but apples to oranges in comparison and shit like that. So, but yeah, man, I approve it. I think it's really good. If like I said, if you want to know more about Selena and stuff like that, check out the other stuff. Sorry, I'm checking my phone right now. But yeah, man, I mean, Selena's been a big part of my life, a big part of everyone's life, especially here in Texas. She is the queen of Tejano. She is everything, and it's great that I've had the opportunity to grow up with her music and stuff like that, but to also have one of her family members on my show, her nephew, Sivani, and to see his perspective on of his aunts and stuff like that. I mean, I know he was a young child, but he got to experience his aunt those few years before she passed, before she was taken from us. But it's pretty cool how like her family is she's still relevant. She's still doing just shit and stuff like that. Putting out makeup lines, putting out cups and stuff like that. I know a lot of people feel a certain way about that, and of course I have my own perspective, but I'm not going to talk about that because this is just about the series. But Selena's still big, man, after 25, 26 years later. Yeah, man, like I said, take the series for what it is. If you want to watch it, watch it. If you don't. But don't also criticize and be like, well, the series and this and that, I'm not going to watch this. I'm like, just watch it. If you don't like it, then you don't have to watch the rest. I know a lot of people live through that. But, if you're going to watch it, watch it. If you're not, then don't talk shit about it. But yeah, man, I mean, like I said, take it for what it is. I know I keep talking, going in circles. I just don't know when to stop. But anyways, yeah, man, this is my review of the Selena series part 2. If you guys want to check it out, it's on Netflix, like I said. Yeah, I mean, that's it. That's pretty much it. This is the episode. I know it's a little bit longer than my last one that I did the review, but I was pretty much giving you details, stuff like that, without any spoilers. But I mean, spoilers, I mean, everyone knows what happened. So, but anyways, guys, this has been Inside the North Side. Thank you for listening to the episode. Thank you for supporting the podcast, supporting me as well. It means a lot. If you can, go back and check out the episode I did with Sivani, her nephew. And yeah, give him some love and give him some support, stuff like that as well. I'll see you guys next episode. As I always say, God bless, peace, stay safe, and I'll see you guys later. So I'm just gonna let the music take us out. So